okay, I'll be straight up honest. Watching the teaser, I was like, and I told you guys after this, I'm not sure if this is something that if I wasn't a One Piece fan, I'd watch. Watching this trailer, I can no longer separate. I don't know how I would react if I was not a One Piece fan. I don't think I'd be as excited about it. I don't know. It would seem very drastically different to me than anything else that's on TV, at the very least. But as a One Piece fan, this one, legitimately, by the end, I was, whether or not you can believe it, I was tearing up by the end watching this trailer. Not even just because the trailer, it was just, it felt like I'm actually, so many scenes are being recreated. Like, the teaser just showed little bits and pieces, but like, I don't know, seeing Sanji fly through the air, throwing out kicks and stuff like that in that distinct fighting style, seeing Luffy throw a Gatling out, seeing him talk to Arlong saying nobody, like, I'm gonna kick your ass because no one messes with my friends. I don't know, like, just, it felt like I'm seeing a very, very, very serious attempt at bringing my favorite series to life. And just nostalgia kicked in, whatever kicked in, it just felt very, very surreal. That's what I'll say. So, legitimately, the trailer moved me quite a bit. I've gone back to watch it a few times. I'm not overdoing it. I haven't watched it a bunch, partly just because time-wise, whatever. But I've gone back to watch it a few times, and also just because I kind of don't want to dissect it, like, frame by frame, whatever, because now I'm in the mode of, okay, I'm excited for the show. I really want to watch the show. I'm just gonna wait and see what the show is like. Leonard Joaquin Teofranco, nice name. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 1 month. Hello, Morj. I'd like to thank whoever gifted me my membership. Big fan of your work and just want to say Kid sucks. Yeah, Kid does suck. I wonder if he doesn't get casted in the live action. I wonder if he's deemed not important enough. I think that's very possible. Retro Records, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. Hey Morj, how does Arlong being introduced in Baratie work? I don't see how you can work in Arlong in between Jin, Don Krieg, and Mihawk. I think it's very, very doable if, because it honestly, like, nowadays Oda's very good at linking villains together as is, but, well, he usually doesn't have them show up physically, but he has their influence felt. What you could easily do is have Arlong show up at Baratie and, like, force Nami to come back with him or something like that. Although that would take away, I assume, from Nami voluntarily leaving the crew, etc., which was the cause of a lot of the conflict initially that they had to get to the bottom of, and then find out that she doesn't actually want to go, etc. But, it could be Arlong showing up and then Nami pretending to be happy with him and heading out with him or whatever. I think it's one of those things that plays well in a live-action show, just because if you have Arlong is essentially the main villain of the season. If you have the main villain of the season interact with the main hero earlier in the story, right, rather than, you know, Luffy's first interaction being actually just showing up at Arlong Park to kick Arlong's ass and then beating him on the spot, which is what happened in the manga, I think it does better probably for live action purposes to see interactions between hero and villain earlier, and then having that play out or resolve in a conflict later on. I could see that. I think that's not a... I think that's probably a smart change. We just have to see how it goes. Bassem El Madawi says, the way Inyaki says, I'm Monkey D. Luffy is perfect. This is what's crazy. My least favorite part of the teaser was Inyaki Godoy. I had the most doubts about him. That was my least favorite part from the teaser. My favorite part of this trailer was Inyaki Godoy. I'm going to tell you right now, I came in very, 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 very much of the mindset of, you know, I'm going to, like, I already kind of had a view of how I assumed it would be from the teaser. I didn't think the trailer would change my mind much. So I'm seeing Inyaki Godoy talk to the seagull or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's going to be corny or whatever. And the seagull flies away, and Luffy says, Inyaki says, mutiny. That made me laugh. Maybe it is corny. Maybe it is a corny joke or whatever, but I don't know. It made me laugh. And I was already in the mindset that I don't find this guy funny. So that made me laugh. And for whatever reason, with the music, with everything playing towards the very end of the trailer, when he's talking to Arlong and saying, you know, the same shit that Luffy says in the manga, which is, you fucked with my friend, so I'm going to kick your ass. I really, really got pumped seeing that. And then the Gatling right after that. Like, that just felt so cool to me. That was around the time I started tearing up. I'm not going to lie. Because I'm always like, how are you going to translate? You can't have Luffy speak the same way he does in the anime in the live action. I feel like the way that Inyaki's carrying himself here is from the snippets that we've seen, it feels really, really perfect to me because it's not trying to recreate the anime, but it is carrying that same sense of like, okay, I'm like a laid back, goofy kid, but there's some steel behind that at the same time. So I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I'm not saying I assume that the show will be good, but I'm judging the trailer, and I feel like the trailer made me happy. Let's say that. Bassem El Madawi, thanks for the 5. Remember that One Piece itself is goofy to look at, but when you start watching, it hooks you in. I feel like most of the story has been condensed too. Yeah, and I feel like it's probably been condensed in a good way, right? I think at the end of the day, you can probably skip the Island of Strange Animals. You can probably skip a few things, and if, you know, condensed can mean multiple things. It can mean cutting things, or it can mean moving things together, like Arlong showing up earlier. That's exciting. That's exciting for the story. Not an NPC, thanks for the 5. It looks and feels like One Piece, just adapted for the screen. Only thing I'm nervous about is the wire flying in the fights. I don't mind that. It's a TV show at the end of the day. So I'm not judging it compared to a movie. I'm judging it compared to TV show action. And by TV show action standards, I think that's fine. Retro Records, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months, man. Hey, Morj, how does Arlong being... Oh, wait, no, we worked this. we covered this. Arlong being introduced in Baratie. Yeah, I just think it's good. I think it's good. Caleb Brown, thanks for the 2. How you feel about the change like Arlong and Baratie? I've covered this multiple times. I think Arlong and Baratie works perfectly fine. It probably helps think about how dramatic Baratie is, because one, you gotta remember, Orange Town and Syrup Village, they are very, 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 very basic arcs. The villains are nothing phenomenal at the end of the day. The character storylines you're getting there aren't anything phenomenal at the end of the day. Like, I like Usopp and Kaya's story and everything, like, just as much as the next guy, but, you know, it's not gonna grab you the way like Chopper's story does, or Nami in Arlong Park does, or something like that. So those storylines are very simple, and it can start to feel like you're getting in the rhythm of show up at island, meet new friend, small time bad guy, defeat, move on, right? I think that Baratie is when it first shook things up in the first place, right? Because one, in the first place, it's not an island, so it's already, I guess that's not a big deal, right? But you're meeting a new person, and then you're getting the bad guy, the big pirate and everything, but Mihawk really, really shakes things up. So Mihawk shakes things up on one end, because Mihawk's showing up, and then suddenly the whole world feels like it's become a lot more exciting. Something very dramatic has happened out of the blue, where Zoro, you know, is pushed to the brink of death, right? Suddenly, Luffy and Zoro, who have been kind of breezing through most of East Blue so far, they're shown to be very small fish in a huge ocean. So Mihawk does a lot of that. Mihawk is very important to blowing up the scale and sense of wonder for what the story can be. And at the same time, you have internal tension with Nami exiting the crew. So Baratie is a really good arc in the manga for flipping a lot of what the plot has been so far on its head and adding multiple new points of tension. So Luffy beating Don Krieg at the end of Baratie is honestly not even the biggest conflict that comes out of... It's not even the biggest point of interest that's coming out of Baratie. It's kind of Luffy checking off that box. But at the same time, we just saw Zoro and Mihawk, and now Zoro's on the brink of death. Mihawk just left. He's issued this challenge. That's cool, but they got to get back Nami. And Nami, we already know from Baratie, she's been taken, or she's headed back to Arlong, who's supposedly the strongest, highest bounty in East Blue and everything. So multiple points of tension and interest have come out of Baratie. Luffy beating Don Krieg, that feels like the calm before the storm, which is going to be at Arlong Park. So that's how it feels in the manga. I think you can make it even stronger in the live action if Arlong himself makes an appearance, likely before Mihawk, because Arlong and Mihawk being together, it would just overshadow Arlong too much. But Arlong, even before Mihawk, Arlong personally showing up there, maybe even, I think from what we saw there, it seemed like Kurubi got the better of Sanji there. I think that's all very exciting stuff. You want the villains to feel intimidating before they just get defeated. So Arlong showing up there, maybe Nami heading back with Arlong voluntarily, that's more dramatic and exciting than just Luffy finding out that Nami headed back with Arlong, right? That's not saying that the show's writing One Piece better than the manga or anything. It's just, you know, if you can go back and dramatize things even more for a television adaptation, these are all smart decisions, right? Establish the Arlong pirates as threats, have the crew visually see Nami, leave with them voluntarily, make them feel that sense of betrayal, then Luffy likely still having that sense of trust that, no, whatever the fuck that just was, I don't believe it, we're going after her. I think very much, think CP9 and them taking Robin at Water 7 before the Stride Pirates deciding to go chase after them at Enies Lobby, right? That is a higher level of drama than what we actually got in Arlong Park, with Luffy just finding out that Nami left and saying, hey, we'll go after her, right? If we assume that well, I think most would accept that Water 7, Enies Lobby, the way CP9 took Robin there, etc., the way the crew was in that state was a higher level of drama than Arlong Park, then what the show gets to do is it gets to look ahead and see how One Piece evolved over time and take from the future and bring it to the past and basically be like, okay, what if the Arlong pirates showed up right here and they actually took Nami, or Nami volunteered to go with them? And so you're taking a lot of that future sort of Robin-inspired drama and using that to bolster Nami's storyline, because in many ways Nami's storyline as is in the manga is kind of a preview to what happens with Robin later on a much bigger scale. So that makes Baratie more exciting. That creates the build up to Arlong Park. It makes that more exciting. It makes the rivalry or dynamic between the hero and the villain that much more powerful before it's time to fight the villain. And then we're still getting everything good about Baratie, which is Mihawk showing up, which would be even more exciting. And then Luffy defeating Don Krieg, which I assume will be a good fight. So overall, if you just look at it from the perspective of like, changes aren't always bad, especially if they're drawing from inspiration of how Oda upped his writing stakes in the future of the story and then applying that to the past. I think that's really good shit. At the end of the day, how it all plays out could be total crap, but I'm just saying idea-wise, everything I saw in the trailer I really liked. Let's get the stream likes to 300 real quick. Cloaksies, thank you very much for the 20. I appreciate it. I thought it'd be good to introduce new people, but it looks like it's just for fans. Every non-fan I've shown said it looks like ass. Feels like our standards are low since we're used to shit like Dragon Ball Evolution. As a show itself, it looks bad. I can definitely see that point of view. That's something I expressed last time we talked about the teaser, and people got mad at me. With this trailer, last teaser I was able to be more objective and just detached. You know, just be like, okay, how would I feel if I wasn't a fan? But this trailer, I wasn't able to do that. Just because it's showing you so much more. The music is there. It's showing so many more just set pieces and characters and interactions from my favorite series brought to life. I can't separate. So I don't know. I can't tell you at this point. I don't know how I'd react if I was not a One Piece fan already. Here's what I will say. There is no show similar to this, live action, that I can think of that has ever been successful. These type of TV shows, this is unproven ground, and not because it's an anime. What I mean by that is, think about every live action TV show that has been successful in recent years, right? All the big ones. Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, The Witcher, Stranger Things, Black Mirror, Better Call, like, what are all the famous live action shows that are going on right now? Peaky Blinders, etc. Live action TV dramas, Mad Men, Orange is the New Black, House of Cards. There's nothing similar to this, because everything else, they're more grounded shows that feel like a little bit darker, a little bit more serious in many ways, right? This is the first show that I've seen that's being pushed with a huge budget like this, that is very, very much, it feels very, very much like a whimsical kids fantasy brought to life on a high budget, very campy, almost cartoonish, right? There's no TV shows like this that are successful, period. So it is the closest I can think of to this is I actually enjoyed watching some episodes of this, a series of unfortunate events, if any of you guys have seen that. That's a similar sort of idea and tone, but obviously nowhere near the same level of fantasy, but very much leaning into the whimsical kids fantasy campy style. You get what I'm saying? Basamel Ladawi, thanks for the 5. Arlong kidnaps Nami and takes her with him. They won't do the evil Nami storyline. I had noticed that the map rune had a chain on the floor to keep Nami. I mean, it should still have, like, that still plays to the ideas of the manga, which is that Nami was kind of kept captive low-key in her room. She technically could leave at points to go steal from pirates, but I think just hammering in more that she was a captive at the end of the day. But I hope that Arlong doesn't just kidnap Nami. I hope that Nami goes along with them. Like, they show up, more like a Robin situation, right? They show up, and then Nami's like, I'm gonna go with them. They're all confused, etc. Because that's more dramatic. That's what's leaving the reader, the viewer, etc., questioning everything they know about the character. And not only is it more dramatic, one, it gives more agency to Nami, but two, that's where really the faith that Luffy has in the friends that he's made shines, because that's the only time it really counts, you know? Obviously, if Luffy sees Nami kidnapped, then he's going to go after her. That doesn't mean that much. That's not unique to One Piece. It's more so Luffy being able to see past what the person is saying and then understanding what's going on inside. That's where Luffy's emotional intelligence comes in, which is very, very underrated about his character. Until Whole Cake Island, where, you know, he's getting all the Rayleigh flashbacks and everything like that about his observation hockey. But that's what Luffy's consistently able to do, right? With Nami, with Robin, with Sanji, he can see through what they're saying and understand that, no, this is not what the person that I know would say, therefore something is wrong, therefore I'm not going along with this. I think that that's a very, very important part of Luffy's character, and what would help differentiate One Piece and the type of, you know, cast of main characters this is from other shows. Chino Wong, thanks for being a member for 6 months. Your least favorite in this trailer? Mine is Shanks. Mine is Arlong. I think at the end of the day, Shanks won't matter that much because he's just not, like, he's not going to be, like, if we're being perfectly honest, the next time that Shanks, no, because Shanks, his actor should show up periodically every season, assuming the show gets more seasons, but it's such small appearances. I wouldn't even be surprised if Shanks' actor gets recast at some point in the story. Like, shit like that happens. You can look at pretty much any major long-running, you know, fantasy-type TV show like this. Like, shit like that like, they're fucking recasting Geralt at this point. They recast the Mountain in Game of Thrones. They recast, like, Dario in Game of Thrones. Like, you gotta remember, at this point in time, Shanks, Roger, don't worry too much about these characters because they're not going to be around much for the majority of the story, right? Worry about their actors later. If this show is going 8 years down the line and we're actually getting to the New World and stuff, then the show's a success, right? The show's a success. So whether or not these guys are not great, it really is not going to have any bearing on my enjoyment of the show because they're going to play such a fucking minor role in the grand scheme of things. And worst case scenario, again, they could be recast. Shanks especially could be recast because I'm not trying to like shit on the actor or anything like that right now. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, you know, like it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible a character that we see briefly here is not played by the same person later on in the story. You know, I don't think that matters that much. Matt Owens says, and we don't know if this is the real Matt Owens, wait, I hear, unlike your opinion on the raid, you've changed your mind about the live action. I have changed my opinion about, I've definitely changed my opinion, like, I've definitely changed my opinion on how good I think it could be, basically. So, I love this trailer, and the trailer, I was telling from the beginning of chat, you can go back towards the beginning of the stream to get my full opinions, because I'm not going to run through everything again, but, the trailer made me tear up towards the end. I really felt like you got the full idea of the vision for what this world and the feel behind the characters and the tone for the series could be, and how this could be the perfect tone to bring a series like One Piece to life, not as a one-to-one adaptation, but its own take on it while still staying faithful to the ideas and what, you know, the sense of adventure, the sense of fantasy, etc. that you want the story to bring out. I think that the only thing is, like, I just personally have to see how it plays out full episode to full episode. But as a trailer, this trailer really, really, really was a special experience for me and made me infinitely more excited to actually watch the series. So from the teaser, I was kind of lukewarm because main thing being because I thought the teaser was, I couldn't tell from the teaser how intentional a lot of the tone was. I couldn't tell if this was kind of like showing like the best the budget had and or whatever, but seeing the full, like, I feel like I got a sense of the entirety of East Blue. I feel like I got a snippet of each character. I feel like I got so much out of it. For me, this trailer was really special. So if nothing else, even if I don't enjoy the show, I'm probably going to rewatch this trailer quite a bit because just it felt surreal seeing everything brought to life, and as people have said throughout this chat, with so much care, with so much I guess of its own sense of its own sense of identity of what it feels like the show wants to be. And I think that that's really important. I think that it's leaning into the sense of, I suppose, to a degree, campiness, but also whimsy, fun, fantasy, cartoonishness, just, kids' Wonderland world. I'm very excited for the series. So that's where I'll leave it at. But no actual, fully formed opinions till I watch the show, obviously. So let's wait and see.